So today we're going to be looking at the frustration aggression hypothesis, which is part of the wider socio-psychological explanation of aggression. So this is the first social psychological explanation that we're going to discuss, but we're also going to look later at social learning theory. So first of all, we need to think about what social psychological actually means. And social psychological is that interaction, which is indicated by the dash here, just like in the nature-nurture debate, that interaction between an individual's characteristics and the environment or the situation that they're in. And those two things allow them to behave in a certain way. And the combination of these two things causes our behaviour. This is also, a socio-psychological explanation has also come up previously in social influence, where we've talked about the agentic state and legitimacy of authority. So this is a theme that's running through, except from here we're talking about aggression rather than social influence. So the frustration aggression hypothesis is all based on the psychodynamic approach. So make sure you're confident on what the psychodynamic approach is, what the role of the unconscious is, and in particular what repression is before you move on with the rest of this topic. Look at the psychodynamic video on this if you're unsure. So Dollard et al. Created the frustration aggression hypothesis, which uses the basis of the psychodynamic approach to explain behaviour. And what he said was that frustration is the cause of our aggression. We get aggressive because we're frustrated that we can't achieve our goals. And this therefore suggests that there's a relationship between frustration, aggression, and catharsis. Now, catharsis is that emotional release that you get from being aggressive. So like when you chuck a load of paper across the room in anger, when you scream in someone's face because you're so angry, or you punch a wall, that feeling makes you feel just that little bit better afterwards that you've let it out. That's the feeling of catharsis. We feel cathartic. So when we become frustrated, that turns us or activates the aggressive drive in our brain, which makes us motivated to achieve our aggressive goal, to or release our anger, and afterwards that makes us feel cathartic. So just as a example here, Tom feels angry or annoyed because he didn't do his homework, and now he's going to get detention. So his annoying feeling is that frustration. He's annoyed that he's not going to be able to achieve his goal of not getting a detention. That's his frustration. So he feels the need to shout at his teacher and tell them where to stick it. So that's him showing that aggressive behaviour. So he's going to scream and tip up the chairs and walk out the room, and that's him showing aggression. And the catharsis feeling is now he's feeling a bit better because he has shown that outbreak of aggression. So what I want to do is really think about how you can summarise this in your own words, thinking about using those three terms, catharsis, aggression and frustration, to explain your ideas. So there are lots of different reasons, according to Dollard, about why we don't take our anger out on the source of the aggression. We often take our anger out on something else, like the table or the wall. And this is either because of these three things. The frustration is abstract. It doesn't actually exist. It's not physical. We can't take it out on physicality. It might be that it's too powerful and we risk punishment. So the person who we want to take it out on it's too risky to take it out on them, because that could lead us to losing our job or losing our status in society. And the cause may be unavailable. So we're frustrated because someone texted us something and we can't do anything. We can't take our frustration out on them because they're not actually there. So as an example, our frustration is abstract. It could be we're annoyed about the economy, or we're annoyed about climate change or government, and it's not something tangible that we can get hold of. The government isn't one person, so that makes it very difficult. And the economy isn't one thing that you can get hold of. It's not just the money, it's the whole economy. If it's powerful, it might be a teacher, a member of the police, it could be your boss, and it's risky to take out your anger on these people because there will be consequences for it. And unavailable, it could be someone texted you, as I said, or the teacher left before you realise that you got a bad grade and you're annoyed at them and you can't do anything about it and you can't talk to them right now. So if we look, there's some studies to support this, and one of those is by Green, who carried out an experiment into frustration. So if I just put the answers in here so you can see, he looked at male university students and he asked them to complete a jigsaw puzzle. And in one condition, it was impossible to solve. In one condition, they didn't have time to solve it. And in a third condition, they had a confederate who basically just insulted the participants' inability to complete it. It's like, oh my God, why can't you complete this? The participants then got the chance to give an electric shock to the confederate that was there at the time. And they found that the insulted participants gave the strongest shock on average. So like the ones who felt like they had the person there who was insulting them, they were more likely to show aggressive behaviour. So for the evaluation, we can think about there is evidence to suggest that aggression might be caused by other things. So frustration isn't the only reason. It could be triggered by external factors, like if someone shouts in your face or pushes in the queue, like that annoys you, and it isn't because you're frustrated originally, it's just because it's just the environment that's causing it. And that's a problem because this theory must not be the only explanation for aggressive behaviour. In some American states, guns have to be concealed, and this is because by seeing a gun, you automatically feel frustrated. You're like, why are they carrying the gun? What's the reason for it? Maybe they could hurt me. And that makes you feel frustrated and therefore angry about it. So hiding a gun away doesn't cause people to have that association because you can't see it. So this provides supporting evidence that frustration can lead to aggression. Most of the experiments that we're going to study, including the Green one, are all carried out in lab experiments. And this is a problem because they're intentionally angering the participant. One, this is quite unethical, it's quite challenging because you have to return the person to their unaggressive state afterwards. But we also is quite risky for everyone involved because we don't know how they're going to react when they are aggressive or are provoked. So that's a problem. But it's also a fundamental problem that the laboratory, or the reason why they're aggressive, is superficial. For example, in the puzzle study, it was about a puzzle that didn't really matter in everyday life. So this might not be how they react to aggressive situations in other situations where there might be less of a consequence. When we're in a lab and we're doing an experiment with someone, we might intentionally try to be as least aggressive as possible because we've never met these people before. Whereas if someone who's aggressive to you or you feel frustrated about something, it's normally something that affects our everyday life. So can we be sure that this aggression is the same as the aggression we would see in everyday life? So hopefully that's helped you summarize the psychodynamic approach to aggression. Hopefully that's helpful.